Okay, Roger, still on the hunt for health, trying to get a little help from the wide world of the universe that wants to be healthy. I don't have the money to do this. Somebody has to come up with money to get the equipment. You might have to even develop equipment to be able to do the things that need to be done, but there will be a huge payoff. I know the world works on money. I don't care about money, so it's nothing for me, but I will assist anyone to try to set up a system that will work. And it's very simple. It's absolutely it's simple. You could make a ton of money, save lives, create happiness, and be a hero at the same time. Start a business and create health by the numbers. You say, well, what's the numbers? Well, the numbers are your biology. What are all the values of your body? What's all the chemistry in your body? What's all the bacteria? What's all the enzymes? And I'm going to show you why. If these aren't correct, you're going to be sick. 100%. Not a single person on the face of this planet can confront me with that and say, I'm wrong. Zero. Try to do it. Come to me. Tell me I'm wrong. You're wrong. What you're going to need is a hardware to be able to analyze the blood, the feces, the bacteria, the enzymes. We need a complete list of everything that's in your body. Now we got a database to go by. So what happens here? We're going to analyze all those things, type, quantity of everything, 100%. Now, what's going to happen then? We put it in the database, and so the database just goes in. It says, okay, so many percent of this, and so much of that, and so much of this, and so many, and every single trace element, all the chemistry, the bacteria, the enzymes, all that stuff. So that ends up giving us a database with the age, sex, race, all these things that are pertinent, type of occupation, the things that could affect your chemistry. Where do you live? What's your diet habits and so forth. And you just do that stuff online. You send them in $200. They send you out a kit. The kit comes out. You put a little blood in there, a little feces, whatever it is, and then they send it back to them. And they do the chemistry. They put in all that information in the database. Then they send you type in your number, and you can see what your numbers are compared to the normal of everybody that's been submitted. Now, there's going to be high, there's going to be low. It will give you a variance report and say, out of these 2,000, 5,000 things it might have to test. And really, there's that many. There's thousands of different types of bacteria. There's hundreds, well, probably thousands also of different types of enzymes. There's all kinds of different metals. There's almost 100 transition metals. There's all kinds of things. So we want to know every one of them. Why not? Why not? Why can't they do that? I know they can do that, but I look in for these machines, they're hundreds of thousands of dollars to test one little thing. I mean, it's insane. Somebody's got to come up with the money to do this and get it done, and then make it reasonable and make everybody be able to access their health information. Then you can adjust yourself by what you eat. Really, I'm not kidding you. So we need to know everything that's in you. We need to know your symptoms and the comments about your health and your life and why you submitted this in. You pay them their money, and then you get the results. You establish the norms. You look for the relationships. And it'll end up being that if you don't have a certain type of enzyme in your body, you're not going to have a certain type of product created. And I'm going to show you exactly the chemistry. I am not lying. Absolutely the chemistry that proves exactly what I'm saying. And you're not going to have the product that you need to make your body function correctly. And you have literally probably hundreds of thousands of different types of chemical compositions that do different things in your body, from salts and acids and tendons and muscles and eyeballs and every type of tissue and electrical connection and neuron. And I mean, it's absolutely phenomenal when you start to look, as I have, at the complexity of the chemistry of the human body. It is just fabulous. Now we're going to look at how these products are created by enzymes, and how the enzymes are created by the bacteria, and how the bacteria have to live in your body unassaulted. And right now they're being assaulted by every kind of chemistry, alcohol, this and that, and every kind of antibiotics and all kinds of things. Now, I'm not saying alcohol is going to kill your bacteria, but I don't think it's going to help it. Everything that affects the bacteria, which is living little creatures, they're little things. They want to have a happy little life. They don't want to have all kind of problems. You drop a bomb on them like these antibiotics, then you just set yourself up for all kinds of issues. Because they don't even track any of these metals and things now. They just, there's a handful of them. The rest are just little things that got in there accidentally. No, they carry things around your body. I'm going to show you this right now. It's called carboxylation. And they got a whole bunch of little words for these things, but I can tell you exactly how it works and how it doesn't work and the reason it doesn't work and the reason you are sick and chronically sick and you don't get better. And then there's triggers that happen. One day you're all right, and then I ate this, and the next thing I knew it was that. Well, let's talk about that. Okay, I'm going to bring Jody into this in a minute and have her tell about her experience with the castor oil. But castor oil is a one-of-a-kind oil. And you can see what it's made of. There's nothing other than hydrogens, carbons, and oxygen. That's all that's here. And what it has is this OH, which is a hydroxyl group, which is a molecule cracker. And it's on the 12th carbon out of 18 carbons in a chain, and this can be used to transport all kinds of molecules, and the carbon is a mover. That's why this penetrates, it goes right in, and it actually does the same job as an enzyme. And I'm going to show you this in the text about this is one of a kind fatty acid, and it literally seems to be able to beneficially affect. I'm not saying it cures everything. I'm not even saying it cures anything, but it seems to beneficially affect things where you have problems, where you have issues, where you have pains, where things are sore, where blood is not mobile, where your eyes are turning red and your ears are getting scratchy sounding. It seems to lubricate muscles, tissue. It takes inflammation out. I think it's moving little tiny molecules around there because this itself creates products. So let me show you the chemistry, the text that describes this happening. All right, I've looked deeply into castor oil, and for several years now I've been recommending it and been using it and been watching the effect, and it's been pretty spectacular actually. And castor oil, it's a vegetable oil, that's all it is, and you saw what the chemistry is. It's made from these beans, and there is some toxicity to those beans. They remove that toxicity. You end up with the molecules that I showed you. Yeah, I obviously got to buy something a guy didn't make in his backyard, in his tub or something. So now, and it's cheap. It's not expensive. Now, what is this? Listen to this. Castor oil is well known as a source of ryocylic acid, a monounsaturated acid. That's the good kind of acid that doesn't harden up at room temperature and it clog things up. Now, it's an 18 carbon fatty acid. Fatty acid is a mover. It moves. It has anyway, let's just keep going with that. Among fatty acids, listen to this. This particular acid, ryocylic acid, is unusual in that it has a hydroxyl functional group. That's the OH that was hanging off the carbon. On the 12th carbon I talked about. The functional group causes ryocylic acid and castor oil to be more polar than most fatty acids, than most fats. The chemical reactivity of the alcohol group also allows chemical derivatization that is not possible with most other seed oils. Derivatization means that it works as an enzyme. It derives products. All right, I've been going on about the whole idea of how we can try to address this issue. However, the reason I started getting involved in this was because I did a lot of research working with Jody on her condition, and she'll be talking in a minute. And it is very similar to this. There is sheathing and what they call myelin and fascia and synovial sheaths that tendons slide and glide through. Now, where her issue, I believe, is that they were being affected at the joints, and that where there was tension and scrubbing and rubbing, and where the tendons have to slide over different passages. All right, let's put it that way. And in that case, they were swelling, and she was getting extreme pain, and it was very visible. She'll explain her whole condition that she was experiencing. But when she used a castor oil, it seemed to alleviate these issues. And I showed you the chemistry that I think is responsible for that. So let's go past that. What I did think, though, when I heard about these kids getting myelin sheath issues with their spinal cords and causing them to be paralyzed, apparently. And I don't know what else to say. Polio like AFM. AFM means acute flaccid myelitis. What's myelitis? Myelitis is an issue with your myelin. Well, what's myelin? Myelin is the sheaths. Now, there's 4 types of myelin. I don't know if they call all 4 of them 4 types of myelin, but as I go down here, I keep reading, and I'm associating it to every single neuromuscular disease that they're not thinking about. Now, there's something else to consider here. See, here it is. An extremely rare but serious neurological condition causes body muscles and reflexes to become weak. Same thing as Parkinson's, same things as ALS, the same thing as a CTM. All of these different neuromuscular diseases, and they're chronic. They go on and on and on until you die. So somehow we got to mitigate this. Well, the other thing to consider is these kids are 4 years old, the ones that are getting these, primarily. Now, what can we take away from that? At 4 years old, they're getting ready to go to school. There's a lot of things going on. I don't know if it has anything to do with vaccinations. I don't know if it has anything to do with antibiotics. I don't even know what they do with kids anymore. I don't have any kids that age. But I see 4 years old, and I say, whoa, let me think about that. That's all. I have no clue about it. I'm not saying, oh, don't do this, don't do that. I have no idea. That's why we need a database to find out what is in your body. What enzymes are not working for these kids. I know it's something of that nature. Exactly what I've been talking about. So, let's go on from here. There's no vaccine or treatment. Nothing they can do for these kids. It's killing me that they won't look into this. Medical care, immediately should they develop this. What are they going to do? There's nothing they can do. Anyway, I'm going to let Jody talk about her condition. But it went on for, you see all this up there? People say, oh, you got a whole bunch of tabs open. Yes, I do. But every one of them, look, I went from this one, athlete's disease. Who gets it? Grand mal seizures, what do they consist of? What is the myelin sheath all about? Characteristics and composition of myelin. And you could just keep going on. Now, sulfatide, this is an issue right here, my friend. And this goes back to 2008. It's over 10 years ago, and they know about this sulfatide anyway. And this goes on, accumulation is lipid by, I got all the, this is about the sulfatide again, and there's 4 types of these different linings, and all of these things, well, here, let me just read it to you. Accumulation of this lipid, which is this one that we're talking about, sulfatide, in the lysosomes is a characteristic of metachromatic leukodystrophy. All right, that doesn't sound good. A lysosomal storage disease caused by the deficiency of aryl sulfatase. Now, this is all enzyme-related stuff. Alterations in sulfatide metabolism, that's you metabolize things, you attach them to things, and you send them around the body. Trafficking, moving them, homeostasis, which means having them in balance, are present in the earliest clinical recognizable stages of Alzheimer's disease. Cerebrosis, there are 4 types of these different things, and they different sheathing types. Anyway, and then I went on from there to go on, and what is epilepsy, how did that stuff work, and then this is fast axial transport. Then this is pyruvates and how they work with carboxylation, how C4 works, and you're going to go on. Tau, tally, microtubular. This is where your brain neurons are held by scaffolding, and the scaffolding breaks down. It breaks down from those sulfatides. All right, and this is about carboxyl structure and a function about that. These are Rubisco, that's You're never going to understand any of this stuff. The crucial role of the neural tau protein in microtubule stabilization axon transport suggests that too little or too much tau might lead to neural dysfunction. Too much or too little. Well, how's that happen? And I understand that too, because it's all enzyme related again. This is phosphorylation, and that's all this stuff very, very important. And does your DNA change? Oh, it's all DNA. No, it's not just DNA. Your DNA changes because of situations in your body, not the other way around. Your DNA doesn't necessarily always control. I mean, there's some that are programmed DNA codes, absolutely, but your DNA doesn't always control it. Your age changes as your DNA changes as you age. And then your metallization, what is that and how does that work? And the biochemical process transferring carbon atom, 3 carbons, one substance to another. I just showed you what, well, here we go to substrates. I showed you what castor oil is, and here we go into the substrates. That was stuff I think we talked about already. Hydroxyl groups, what do? How does bodily fluids transport gases? Crohn's disease and how that works in your body, the role of fluoric acid and all these different chemistry that should be in your body that's not, because we're eating things that have been so processed they don't have it anymore. And then this Jody and I went through about colloidal gold. It increased the, what do they call it, the intelligence test there, this WASI test or whatever they call it, like 30% or something. And Jody was taken away by this. She'll probably remember this. She says, I'm getting some of that stuff. And then, we're talking about the hydrogen bond. And all this stuff plays its effect. All of this stuff, bacterial and viral effects, how are they treating them? This is what I want to know. Are these kids having ear infections? They give them something that fixes their ear and it causes them to go paralyzed? How do they treat these things? What are they giving them? Is it killing the bacteria? Is it killing some other thing that's in their body that's trying to make them healthy? So you got to look into, what's the difference between bacterial and viral? It's cell linings, basically. And then you have to, so much. This is a sulfatide again. You got to look into the chemistry. Anyway, let's just drop it here. I'm going to have Jody come in 1 second. Okay, Jody's on with me, and she had this condition here that we're looking at. Whoops. This is rheumatoid arthritis. Now, she's going to explain what happened. She went to the doctor, and he told her there's nothing she could do but take some serious medication. It wasn't going to help her, but it would make her so that she didn't feel how sick she was. All right, Jody, take it away.
Okay, so basically my story with RA started around February, this past February, and when it started bad. Like, I was getting really bad flare-ups. My hands would swell right up, all my knuckles bright red, swollen, and I couldn't do anything with my hands. I couldn't even lift up a pencil. I couldn't open a bottle, nothing. I mean, it was the pain was so bad. So I went to my regular doctor, and he told me that he assumed it was RA, but he wanted to send me to a specialist through Yale. So I met with the specialist, and at that point, it put my life to a stop. I couldn't work. I couldn't do anything. Every week it was another flare-up. It would go between either one of my hands, elbows, or shoulders. So it would spread. Like, for 3 days, it would be my right hand. Then maybe it would spread over to my left hand. And then the next week, it would be my elbow and my hand. So there was no pattern or anything with it. It just came and go. And every week, it was some other part of my body that was hurting. So I went to the doctor. Excuse me. I saw the specialist. And he just told me we don't know what causes RA. We don't know how to cure it. We can treat the symptoms. We can help treat the pain and pain management. And that's it. He had nothing hopeful to say about it at all. He said it's just something you're going to have to learn to live with, and hopefully we can treat it enough to get the flare-ups to stop or have minimal flare-ups. So I had no choice but to accept that. It was rough though. I couldn't work. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't do housework around the house. So I went home. I looked up the medications that he prescribed me, and they were really strong medications. And I don't like to take stuff. I don't like taking Tylenol if I don't have to. So, and they affect me really bad. These prescriptions medications. I always get constipated and just all the side effects that I get them. So anyway, I had talked to Roger about it, and he had mentioned the castor oil that he was using it, and he knew a friend of his that he had mentioned it to that it helped. So I decided I was going to try the castor oil before I started the medications. I was going to have to kind of resort to the medications because I couldn't live in that kind of pain. So it was disappointing. I was not like I was depressed. It was not good. It really affected my in every way. So I started the castor oil, and that was during the springtime around April, May. And I didn't have a single flare up after that all summer long, nothing, not one flare up. And I'm always using my hands. I craft, I work on the computer. I went back part-time grooming here and there. I don't do it as much now, but I could do it full time. I think I would be fine with the castor oil. So that's pretty much my story. However, I did stop using the castor oil for a little while, and I did get a flare up. I got lazy with it, thinking I was cured because I went all summer with nothing. So I started getting a little lazy with the castor oil. I went from doing it every night to maybe, twice a week and stuff like that. So, what's that, Roger?
Oh no, I didn't say anything. I'm just chewing on something. But anyway, I'm going to make a statement. When Jody had that flare up, she put the castor oil on right that night, and in the morning everything was perfect again, right?
Yeah, that was about a month and a half ago or so. About a month and a half, 2 months ago or something. It wasn't long ago. And yeah, I put the castor oil on, and it was a full-blown flare-up. I was red, swollen, couldn't move, couldn't pick up a pencil, nothing. It was bad. So yeah, I did the castor oil that day. I did a couple times throughout the day and before bed. And when I woke up next morning, it was fine. The pain was gone. My knuckles were still a little stiff and tight. But after 48 hours, it was fine. The tightness went away. The stiffness went away.
All right, there's a couple things to take away from this now. It immediately responded from the castor oil. So we know that it invades the tissues very quickly because Jody will attest to this. Your eyes get moist, very nice and luxuriously moist, and sometimes a little teary, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I tend to usually have dry eyes, and I started using it.
Oh, it's fabulous for the eyes. Now, the other thing you get is your entire body, the skin, seems to get a little more, supple and a little more hydrated. It's actually castor oil is what they call a humectant. It absorbs moisture out of the air instead of dumping it into the air. Now, the other thing to take away is that Jody's not cured. She's not cured.
No.
There's still something going on here. There's still an issue. Now, maybe the castor oil is taken over and intervening best it can, but there's still an issue that some of these enzymes, we don't know what's in her body. If you don't know that, I mean, all you could do is say, let's try a little, and see what happens. It's really not, doesn't make sense to me. It really doesn't. That this database does not exist. This is what really is my motivation for being so crazy about this. Because I don't see that, I see this as a possible way to focus in on the real cause of these issues. Right now, just like Jody said, they told you, right, Jody? We don't know what's wrong. We have no idea.
Oh yeah, he had nothing positive to say. He said we have no idea. He told me that it was an autoimmune disease. It's in that category, and that it's my immune system was attacking my joints.
Right, now listen to this now. Exactly. So in other words, he had no clue. He says, here's what is happening, and we think it's because of this, and we just give it a name. It's an autoimmune disease. Well, there's a zillion of them. They're all over every one of these things is autoimmune deficiency. The people can't talk, they can't walk, stuttering, they're shaking, they're all these things. That is electrical conductivity. That is communication. That's these sheaths. They're holding your signals in like insulation. And these sulfatides, that's what you got to look at, because those actually crush and break the sheaths. And they proved this, I think it was 20 years ago. And they were looking into it, but it must have just stopped for some reason. But at any rate, this is what it needs to be fixed. We need to fix this. We don't need to just keep putting on a little juice here and a little juice there. Let's find out what's in your body. If your body was perfect, there's people that are absolutely 100% perfect. They don't have any problems at all. I have very few problems, but I get a little itchy here and this and that. I'd like to know what would cause that. Is it something in my body that's different than everybody else's and everybody else? Because I have itchy ankles. I can tell you this. This is crazy. My ankles itch. It's my ankles. I mean, it's not like my whole body. Why my ankles? And it's got to have something to do with the thinness of the tissues in that area, or the tendons that are down there, or you're actually built in layers. Your body literally is built in layers. And that particular layer of my body somehow has some different chemistries causing it to be itchy. I don't know. I'd like to know. But all these things need to be put in databases, and then I would plug in, I'm such and such an age, and I live in such and such an area, and my ankles itch. And it would say, okay, here's what people, chemistries that have itchy ankles are. But now there's no way to do that. Anyway, Jody, you still there, kid?
I'm here. Yep.
All right. And Shorty's actually been putting this castor oil on her dog's paws, because it licks the paws all the time. Now we can get some action. If the dog has a problem, people will pay attention. The dogs lick their paws. Mine does, hers does, they all do. And either something's wrong in their diet, or they're stepping on something. They claim that there's allergies and they're allergic to something, to pollen. I don't know. But the castor oil worked, right?
Yeah. Oh, it's worked great. I've had her off the antibiotics now for probably about 2 weeks, close to 2 weeks now. Mm-hmm. And she was on antibiotics for 2 years, so it's pretty major. Normally, when she'd get off the antibiotic, 2 days she would start really, her paw would swell right up. She'd start licking it nonstop. I'd have to put the cone on.
Yeah.
So, I've been rubbing the castor oil on her paws at night, and the fur's growing back. She had some bald spots from licking it. She has built up scar tissue because it gets irritated. It breaks open. They get little wounds. It's bad.
It's starting to grow back, the hair and everything.
Yep, the hair's growing back. It's really nice. I've been taking pictures every day, so I'm cataloging it, and we'll see what happens. But so far, so good. It's been 2 weeks.
All right. Well, here's where we're going to leave it at this. I know I was running off at the mouth like I always do, but this is important. It really is. There's a lot of people suffering. Everybody I know has some kind of pain or sore. Oh, my back. Oh, my knee. I got a bad back. Everybody's got something. So if it has any effect for you in a positive way, God bless you. That's all I can say. But castor oil has worked for me. It worked for everybody that I've mentioned it to. As just a general quick way to address a pain, a stiff shoulder, a sore elbow. Your hands are getting real stiff and sore. Put some on there. And like Jody does it, she puts it on her hands, and she puts some plastic around them so that it soaks in there. And she does this for a few days in a row, and pip, she's back up in action. So anyway, I guess we'll leave it at that. Jody, what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully it can help somebody and maybe even get you off some medications, which we all know can have some really bad side effects.
Yeah, I'd like to see everybody get healthy. And really the key to this whole thing is the database, to find out what is in your body. Then we can adjust your body. I mean, not me, but you can go out and they'll become relationships within the database that will be absolutely certain that a huge variation in a certain thing is going to cause a certain result. It's like anemia and stuff that's just so obvious. You don't have any iron. Well, that's a big one, and that's one of the ones they check. That's fine. But what if you don't have any rubium, or what do you have, any rhodium, or I don't even know the names I'm saying, but they could be any names. What if you don't have those? And you're supposed to have them. I'm going to tell you that right now. You're supposed to have iridium in you. How much is iridium do they supposed to have in you? You have no clue. So that's what we got to find out, because they're going to find out it's in you. So let's try to get everybody healthy again. All right, Jody, take care, and everybody, thank you so much, and God bless you all.